NFL training camp is just about here, which means it's time to rank every team in the AFC. That's right, it's time to take a step back from ranking players and units and offenses and defenses and actually discuss each team in both conferences. In this video, I'm going to rank every AFC team entering training camp from number 16 to number 1. I'm going to give you my honest opinion on where your team stands right now entering training camp, what's flowing through my mind about your team at this moment in time. If that sounds good, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe to the BLV for more NFL rankings just like this. Also, let me know in the comment section below where you believe your favorite team should rank in the AFC entering 2023. Let's go. Kicking off my training camp power rankings. At number 16, the Indianapolis Colts. There's always that one Colts fan that, because I'm a Patriots fan, thinks that just because my team whooped the Colts in 01, 03, 04, 13, 14, 15, since the dinosaurs were on Earth, that for whatever reason, they still think like I don't like the Colts. Bro, why would I dislike the Colts when all we do is whoop you? Anyways, the Colts are last. Why are they last? You could argue that they're somewhere in the bottom 3, but I have them last because they have a new quarterback, they have a new coach, and that's a lot, first of all. Secondly, I believe the organization is hitting the reset button. I believe they want, in their heart of hearts, to have a season where they can rebuild. I think that is a fact. They've had already a bit of a tough offseason. They had a player get suspended already, one that they were expecting to play a big role on defense. They're thrusting some unknowns into the secondary on defense. The pass rush is already not the greatest. We discussed this in the defense rankings video. I'm not confident about the edge rush in particular. I feel like the interior is good. Shaq Leonard's back. That's great. He'll take care of the linebacker position as long as he stays healthy, which is a big asterisk at this point. Offensively, I think they're going to have a very lackluster passing game, no matter who the quarterback is. And I don't know if their running game is going to be enough in this conference to consistently pick up wins. I could be wrong. They could be number 15 or number 14 here. But I really feel like Richardson needs a lot of work and a lot of time to build himself up. I think there's going to be a lot of rocky moments. And I think their passing game is going to suffer. So personally, I believe they're probably the worst team this year in the AFC. And that's where they reside in my mind. Could they have an upside that I don't see? Sure, if Richardson is already an absolute stud, then I could be wrong. But besides that, I don't really see the ceiling. I feel like people still are hanging on to the Colts from like 3 years ago, but that team, that roster doesn't really exist anymore. And the players that were on that team actually aren't playing as well as they were then either. So I just feel like the Colts maybe a little overrated from a roster standpoint, did not play well last year, did not win a lot of games last year. There was a reason for it. Now they have to hit reset and they're going to go through it because of it this year. At number 15, the Houston Texans. Texans fans must be a little happy because at least they're not ranking at the bottom of the AFC any longer. I personally think that the Texans could surprise and shock a lot of people in and out of the NFL. From a coaching standpoint, I'm a big believer in DeMeco Ryans. I think he's a very smart defensive schemer, and I think he has the presence, the know-how, and the experience being a player to relate to the locker room, especially a locker room that's been through a lot of losing. He can build them up and bring them into success moving forward. It's going to take some time though. This is still a rebuilding, retooling year in Houston, but I think there's at least a little bit more hope and faith. CJ Stroud is a quarterback that I think right away, if he's given time, which looking at this offensive line, I think it's one of the best that nobody talks about. It's certainly underrated. I think they have a solid tackle duo. I like the addition of Shaq Mason at guard. I think they made a smart addition at the center position in the draft. Dalton Schultz will be a nice security blanket. They have a plethora of wide receivers. No real true number one, but Robert Woods, Nico Collins, John Mechie, Tank Dell. They have a lot of different guys, and I'm missing a couple that can contribute to this passing game. Damian Pierce is going to run the ball well. I would say he's going to be a 1,000-yard back this year. Devin Singletary, according to EA Sports, is better than Ramondre Stevenson. And defensively, I think they're super underrated. The secondary is really deep and talented. Now, Derek Stingley has to prove he can be a number one, but Desmond King, Thomas, Steven Nelson, Jimmy Ward, and Jalen Petrie, everyone's favorite young safety in the league. They added Denzel Perryman, Sheldon Rankins. You go through the list. Jerry Hughes, Will Anderson. This is an impressive team. Malik Collins. Like, they've got a lot of ballers, a lot of real NFL players. I really like how Nick Caserio has tried to build some superstars through the draft and tried to establish a high floor of veterans throughout his lineup. And I feel like they're a very deep roster. Like, I think this roster in a year or two is going to be trouble. They're going to be a good team. It's just going to take some time. I think CJ Stroud is a rookie. There's going to be good moments. There's going to be down moments. They need to get him more support overall on offense. But man, this team could surprise a lot of people. Don't be surprised in 2023. At number 14, the Las Vegas Raiders. This is the thing about the AFC, man. The Las Vegas Raiders in the NFC, I would be very high on. This is a team with an absolutely potentially dynamic offense. Like, the Raiders on paper, and even last year, were a really good offense. They can score. They can put up points. They can run the football as good as anybody. Their offensive line is young and I think building. I feel like this unit, this starting five that is back together again for 2023 is only going to grow together and improve together. I love what they did in the offseason, adding Jacoby Myers to a receiving core that already has Hunter Renfrow and Devontae Adams. And then the quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo is a short and intermediate passer. You have Renfrow, Myers, and Adams. Think about that for a second, and that's not even including the tight ends. These guys are excellent short, intermediate receivers who can separate, who can run routes, have very comfortable and consistent hands, and are going to make a ton of grabs for chain-moving first downs. All of these guys are problems in the red zone, on third down, when you need to have it. This is a team that's going to be able to really run the ball, move the ball on long drives, keep their defense on the sidelines because they have an offensive scheme and personnel that is made to drive long drives. Keep the ball, possess the ball. I am being very positive about a team that I rank 14th, but it just goes to show how stacked this conference is. I love the Raiders offense. you add in Michael Mayer, you add in Austin Hooper, who I felt was another chain mover tight end. He's going to do a lot to help Michael Mayer in the future. And then defensively, you add Tyree Wilson to Max Crosby, Chandler Jones. I think they feel they improved in the secondary, but I do have a problem with what they did defensively. I just don't think they've done enough. If they go on to sign Marcus Peters, I might move them up a spot. I feel like that might be enough for me to feel more secure about the secondary and at least be an improvement. This is also a team that lost a lot of one-score games. This is easily a team that could surprise. This is easily a team that in a conference that's so competitive, if there's injuries to other teams or they just hit on a couple of these pickups or draft picks, they could be a team that is flirting with 8, 9, 10 wins. Because last year they easily could have had that amount if not for the amount of collapses, fourth quarter losses that they did have last year. But I think McDaniels and this organization is pointing in the right direction. It's just the fact that it is such a big rebuild with a team that's been limited so few draft picks over the last few years. At number 13, the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are a team that when you compare them to the Raiders, I feel like although the Raiders fan base is desperately wanting them to win, the Broncos are the team that really have the pressure on them. They brought in Sean Payton, they brought in Russell Wilson for huge money and big time capital, and that's forcing the issue for the Broncos, and oftentimes that does not work in your favor. And I think the Broncos are a pretty overall decently talented roster. Again, another team that I would look at in the NFC, and with Sean Payton, I could believe the narrative that Russell Wilson will click and will get back on track. And I still kind of believe that narrative. I'm just not sure that Russell Wilson will ever be Seattle Russell Wilson, and he'll just be average. I could certainly see him getting back to average this year with a strong running game behind him, a better offensive line, more protection, a good defense, a lot going in his favor with Sean Payton calling plays. I can see that. The defense is solid. I think the pass rush is okay. Frank Clark, Randy Gregory, Zach Allen, DJ Jones. Not the best, not the worst. Linebackers are okay. Safeties are pretty good, especially my guy Justin Simmons. Corners are pretty darn solid, especially Pat Surtain. And they've got a talented, pretty good defense from a year ago that was in the top 10. Can they sustain that level? I think they'll flirt with it. Vance Joseph is a good coordinator. Offensively, I think they're going to try to stay balanced. I think they're going to be hit and miss. I think their receiving core is a little overrated. I am big on Jerry Jeudy this year, but I'm not a fan of Courtland Sutton, and I'm not sure that Tim Patrick will be the same player post-injury. So there's not a lot outside of Jerry Jeudy. So I'm a little concerned about that. But overall, I think the Broncos are just an average middling team that has a lot of pressure on them, and I'm not sure that's going to go very well. But I hope it goes better than last year. It has to with Sean Payton. He's just too good of a coach. I have them at number 13. At number 12, the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans, I've been saying all offseason, underrated, slept on, and overhated. A lot of people, and I still see people saying the Titans will stink. I just don't think that's going to happen. The Tennessee Titans under Mike Vrabel feel a lot like the Mike Tomlin Steelers. No matter what their roster looks like, no matter what the depth chart suggests, this team playing for Mike Vrabel is going to win more games than you expect. And even ranking them at 12 seems a little underrated. It's just hard, man. This conference is absolutely ridiculous. And I feel like the Tennessee Titans, maybe you could move them up a couple spots because the division is so weak that they'll win a couple of games in the division and that will make them better record-wise than maybe they are. But overall, the Tennessee Titans have some great things that I love and some things that really concern me, which catch me in the middle for their evaluation and ranking on this list. So for the things that I really love, of course, Mike Vrabel. I really love that they switched offensive coordinators. I really love that Ryan Tannehill is their quarterback. I like Ryan Tannehill. I also like Derrick Henry. I love that they signed DeAndre Hopkins, and I love that Treylon Burks is now a number 2 instead of a number 1. I like the tight end, the young tight end, and I also don't mind the depth at receiver. I really love their defense. Their defense is spectacular. They can stop the run as good as anybody. They have a fierce front 7. They've got a good linebacker position, but it really comes down to Jeff Simmons, Tart. They got Al-Shahir in the middle now. They have my guy, Arden Key, Harold Landry, and Danico Autry. Loaded. Secondary's better, adding Sean Murphy-Bunting and hopefully just getting healthier, young players growing, all that stuff. Amani Hooker, Kevin Byard, stacked defense. I think the most underrated defense entering this year. So they're really solid on defense. They're going to play ground and pound approach football. You know how the Titans are going to play, and they're going to pull out games in the fourth quarter with situational football prowess. So that's how they play. I don't like the offensive line. The offensive line is really what is keeping me from ranking them in the top 8 or so, because I think the offensive line is the ingredient that has made the Titans. And I feel like when the Titans have not been at their best, the offensive line has not been very good. Tannehill gets hit too much. The drop back passing game is just not good enough. The run game is kind of hit and miss because they can't open holes for Derrick Henry, and it's too much on Henry. So I think they need to figure that out. If they continue to look for a tackle in free agency, and I'll see how they look this offseason into training camp, into the preseason, starting to get a feel for those players. Brewer at the center spot. You know, how does Skoronski look as a rookie? How does Andre Dillard look as a full-time tackle? Once I get a feel for those things, potentially I could move them up. I think they're extremely slept on now. I think DeAndre Hopkins made the possibilities for Tennessee a lot brighter than previously. I think pre-DeAndre Hopkins, they were very boring, and they were very kind of like, they're going to be mid, but nothing better than that. Now I could see the upside for them in 2023. At number 11, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know this seems low for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It really does. And again, going back to the Mike Tomlin, Mike Vrabel deal, this is probably a team that will have a better record than the 11th place team in the AFC. This is a power ranking based on my head, what's going on in my brain, okay? This is mixing in potential, mixing in floor, ceiling, mixing in all those different type of things. And it feels like the Steelers this year are a year away. It feels like they're a good, safe floor team that's going to win 8 to maybe 11 games, but they're not going to be dynamic, special, or just like a problem, okay? I think their defense is really strong. They have a good front 7, and I think they've really done a good job to strengthen the depth. I thought the Marcus Golden pickup was a very savvy pickup to keep themselves from completely suffering when TJ Watt does get hurt, right? Alex Highsmith's really good. TJ Watt's a difference maker. Cam Hayward's awesome. And Larry Ogunjobi's a very good player. And then you look at the secondary, I think they've got a lot of pieces. It's just a question of how does it all fit. DeMonte KZ comes back. You add Patrick Peterson. You draft Joey Porter Jr. So there's a lot of interesting things here. I feel like the offense is the wild card of maybe the entire AFC, but it's in the discussion. Kenny Pickett, is he just going to be okay? It feels like he's a gamer. He's actually a probably deceptive athlete for a lot of people. I think he caught a lot of people off guard. Not me, because I really like that on his tape. But a lot of people were kind of surprised by how gifted he was as an athlete. He's accurate, doesn't have a super strong arm, but just feels like he makes a lot of big plays at the right time, right? That's kind of a Ben Roethlisberger trait. The offensive line should be better, especially on the inside. They did draft a left tackle who should be pretty good. I mean, I just don't know, I think Pickens is a little overrated. I think Allen Robinson is dust. Deontay Johnson, I think he's good, but not great. Like, I think their weaponry's a little overrated. Like, it's good, it's not great. I don't know if it's enough for Pickett to really be special. So I look at their offense, and I'm not a big Matt Canada guy either. They don't have a plus scheme. So I think they're going to be kind of a mediocre to like below average offense with a really strong defense and just Mike Tomlin's savviness and coaching. They should win a good amount of games, but not too many. At number 10, the New England Patriots. Yes, I got the Patriots at number 10, and I guess number 10 would feel like it's lower than where I predicted their record to go. And I will say maybe some of this is being sour from not signing DeAndre Hopkins and me being so invested in them potentially signing DeAndre Hopkins that I kind of lost myself in the potential of what this team could have been with DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe I've come back down to earth a little bit. Maybe I'm just trying to kind of sour expectations. Maybe I've been trying to be a little less biased in my rankings because everyone keeps saying that. So I'm just trying to be fair. And I feel like ranking New England at 10 is at the very least fair. It's certainly not too high on New England, and I don't know it's too low either. Like, I think New England should at least win 8 games. Like, if you don't think New England's going to win 7 or 8 games, you just don't have enough respect for what Bill Belichick has been able to do. Even post Tom Brady, winning games that just don't even make sense at times. Like, I feel like this team is going to be very mid, but they have the potential, if they can squeak in, to be a bit of a problem because of how they play and because of how well they're coached at times. And I feel this year, I really like their coaching staff. I think the addition of Bill O'Brien, I think they really got a great offensive line coach. I think they're going to be a lot more structured on special teams, offense, defense, getting Joe Judge back on the special teams department. I think all these things are going to help them be a more structured New England type of team. And that's dangerous for a lot of teams. Their defense, I think, is one of the best in football. For whatever reason, people in the comment section seem to criticize me for ranking them in the top 5, despite them being number 1 at the end of the year in EPA per play and in the top 3 in EPA and DVOA last year. They're a very good defense, and they have it all. They've got a great pass rush. They've got a bunch of unicorns that can play safety or linebacker. They've got really good corners, and I think Gonzalez is going to be the real deal right away. I'm super excited for a guy named Marte Mapu, who was a rookie they picked, and I've heard a lot of great things. I'm also pumped to see Josh Uche and Matt Judon go to work, and I'm really excited for Mac Jones. I think at the very least, Patriots fans can look forward to a coherent offense, and I feel like Mac is going to give a lot of signs to being the future of this franchise. And if that's the case, I think a lot of people that are commenting right now that New England's overrated are going to be underrating New England right now, because I do think that Mac is going to surprise a lot of NFL fans, because they saw him last year and it didn't look good, but I think so much of that was on the coaching staff that you don't even know. So to me, I think Mac Jones has a big year, and that could catapult New England into the playoffs. But if he's just okay, I think they'll still win about 8-ish games. So I have them at number 10 right now. At number 9, the New York Jets. This one's also really tough. I questioned whether I should have the New York Jets at number 7 or I should have them at number 10. I have bad vibes about the Jets. Like, I have conflicting thoughts about the Jets. I have this thing in the back of my mind that says, Mitch, how could this fail? It's Aaron Rodgers with one of the best defenses in the league. That should work for 10 wins. And then another side of me feels like this team is going to be a disaster. Like, Robert Saleh is a clown. They have a horrible coaching staff. Like, honestly, that is, in my opinion, true. Like, your two heads are Robert Saleh and Hackett. I think they're both clowns. I'm just going to be honest with you. But I do think they're extremely talented. I also could see Rodgers getting old pretty fast. I could also see the offensive line falling apart for the 18th consecutive year. Breece Hall not being the same player after injury. Them not really having great weapons outside of Garrett Wilson. And the defense not being able to hold everything together. I could see that equating to a very mid AFC team. An 8th to 10th range type of team. And that's kind of how I see them right now. But I could also see a world where Rodgers is Rodgers, the defense is spectacular, and they ride the wave of their talent. And they ride the wave of the NFL, because the NFL has given them a schedule that would suggest they should be a playoff team this year. So I have them at number 9. I'd be willing to listen to some opinions in the comment section below when it comes to the Jets. You let me know what you think. At number 8, the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the Chargers feel like a team that I'm not super high on this year, and maybe that's a good thing, because typically I am high on the Chargers, and they tend to disappoint. Now, there's been times where they've actually done pretty well, better than a lot of people expected, or at least went over their win total, something to that degree, where they shined and they did well. And usually they pay off my expectation of them, but there's other times where they just fall flat and they're not nearly as good as anyone expects. Last year it was kind of weird because it felt like they had a strong push from many that they would be an AFC championship type of team, but at the same time they were still looking to just get to the playoffs because they hadn't done that yet with Justin Herbert. So like logic would suggest that they're on their way up. They've been trending upward. But at the same time, they didn't take that big leap like a lot of teams did, like Buffalo did, for example. Or, you know, like there's some teams that just seem to take big jumps. The Eagles. The Chargers, it feels like they've just kind of been like this. They're kind of steadily going up, but maybe not enough for our liking. And typically in the NFL, you don't go like this, you go like this, right? So it's weird. The defense, I feel like, is consistently underwhelming. They have talent on paper, but they can't stop the run, and it feels like they get hurt too much. And I'm not sure I really love the depth on the D-line or the secondary. I like a lot of the players: Asante Samuel Jr., Michael Davis, Derwin James, Joey Bosa, still Khalil Mack. I think the Eric Kendricks signing makes sense, but I'm not sure he's still good. They signed him to stop the run, but I don't know if he's any good anymore. And Drew Tranquill is still good at football. Offensively, I really like that they get their offensive line back, and that's the biggest bonus for me. But adding another dynamic receiver potentially is nice as well. And I will just say this: the Chargers are pretty safe to be average because they have Justin Herbert. So that's why I have them at number 8. I don't think they have as high of a ceiling as the Jets, and their ceiling is probably, honestly, somewhat similar to the Steelers or the Patriots, given that their coach is kind of a knob. But I think that number 8 seems fair because they've at least proven they can do something, unlike the Jets, and they have Herbert to the point where, like, that's a safer floor than a Mac Jones team or a Kenny Pickett team. So I have them at number 8 right now. At number 7, the Cleveland Browns. Yes, the Cleveland Browns have entered my top 7. The Cleveland Browns, I'm frustrated with because I just wish I had a better understanding of Deshaun Watson. I really want to believe this team is going to be stellar because there's really no reason other than Deshaun Watson just being like Deshaun Watson last year for them not to be really darn good. Like, you look at this team, man. Their offensive line is really good. It still is really good. Nick Chubb, everybody's favorite running back except for me, apparently. David Njoku, my favorite tight end, but nobody else's. All right, wide receiver position, you got Amari Cooper, you got Elijah Moore, who's everyone's favorite guy that's never done anything. Donovan Peoples-Jones, everyone's least favorite guy who's actually done something. And then You have a lot of targets. Cedric Tillman, they drafted like a lot of targets, a lot of depth at the receiver position, good tight end, great running back, great offensive line. Can the quarterback figure it out? Kevin Stefanski has proven he can coach offense in this league. Can he coach an entire team consistently to success? We will see. Can he evolve? Can he adapt? What will happen with his leadership? Defensively, they should be way better. I mean, I respect Jim Schwartz a lot. I think he's a good DC and has been for a long time. And I think I've said it many times, but I'll say it again. He gets a lot out of defensive line play. And when you have Zadarius Smith, Myles Garrett, Okoronkwo, Dalvin Tomlinson, all these studs, you have to be productive. And I think they will be. The linebacker position, Anthony Walker is back. JOK is back. They're decent enough. Safety position is improved with Juan Thornhill. Corners are good. I love that Schwartz said that they're probably going to play more man this year. That's going to help Denzel Ward. So I'm excited for the Browns, but I also feel like I could be like another clown that has the Browns in the top 7. But Deshaun Watson and the Browns just become the Browns, and it's just a disaster, and I'm totally wrong. So that's the thing with the AFC, man. You just miss by a little bit and you're totally wrong, because this conference is so competitive that 1 or 2 losses is just going to bury you. So I have the Browns at number 7 because of their upside is immense, but I don't really know, to be honest with you. At number 6, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jags are my number 6, and it's not necessarily because I believe Jacksonville is the 6th best team in the AFC. I know that makes no sense, but hear me out for a second. I think Jacksonville is likely going to win their division, meaning I think Jacksonville is likely going to be a playoff team, meaning they're the safest to put inside this top 7. Could the Chargers be better? Could the Jets be better? Are the Browns more talented? Yeah, but the Jags are the most consistently reliable when it comes to projection. So that's why I have them at number 6. Realistically, Trevor Lawrence should take a step up. Why? Because they added a number 1 receiver, something that the New England Patriots, Bill, fail to understand. You also have Christian Kirk. You also have Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne, Zay Jones, and targets for Lawrence to strike. Offensive line is a little suspect given the suspension early in the year, losing Jawan Taylor. You're working with 2 new tackles early in the year. That could be troublesome. But I really believe in Travis Etienne to have a huge year this year. I think he's going to be a great fantasy pick. Defensively, I do think they'll improve. I think I like the corner duo. Darius Williams on one side, Tyson Campbell on the other. Still suspect nickel position. Safety position, Andre Sisco, I think will elevate his game. Edge-wise, I think Trayvon Walker will elevate his game. I think Hamilton will elevate his game inside. I think Devin Lloyd will elevate his game at linebacker. I think there's a lot of young players that should get better, realistically. So I think their defense will be stronger. And overall, a lot of their players are carrying over, which you love to see. So that's big. And I think they should be able to win 10, 11 games this year, make the playoffs, and potentially surprise some people because of what Lawrence is able to do. We even saw that last year in the playoffs. So at number 6, I have Jacksonville. Doug Peterson, superb coach. Couldn't go without talking about him. Number 6. Entering the top 5. At number 5, the Miami Dolphins. Yes, the Miami Dolphins have made the top 5. And I have the Dolphins at number 5. I think this is a drastic change from where I had the Dolphins previously, because I'm going to just say if the Dolphins do not make the playoffs, the Dolphins do not have a successful season, meaning they win a playoff game, at least, they're a failure. Outright, downright failure. They are too talented. They have Mike McDaniel, offensive coach, Vic Fangio, defensive coach, Jalen Ramsey and X, Tyreek Hill and Waddle. The offensive line is intact. Now, Armstead could get hurt at any moment, but still. Tua could get hurt at any moment, but still. The defense is loaded. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Christian Wilkins. I mean, they've got too much talent. Javon Holland to not be a playoff team. Could this go wrong? Could they take a step back? I think certainly. I think they are the most fragile, potentially elite AFC team. They could have a ceiling that is immense. They also have a very low floor. I think there is a floor in terms of their defense. I think there's a floor in terms of Tua. I think there's a floor in terms of Mike McDaniel in year 2. I think there's Tyreek Hill and his personality. There's some things, Jalen Ramsey, things that, you know, you worry about. But I think overall, from a talent standpoint, from what they did last year, it only makes sense for them to get better. So at number 5, I have the Dolphins. At number 4, the Baltimore Ravens. I do not think the Baltimore Ravens are the most talented team in this past couple of teams that I've discussed. But when you talk about the Baltimore Ravens, you have an elite game changer at quarterback in Lamar Jackson, and he just wins a lot of games. Nobody other than Patrick Mahomes wins more games on a consistent basis than Lamar Jackson. As long as Lamar Jackson is playing, the Ravens win. That's really what it comes down to. The offensive line is really, really good. I think it is slept on. J.K. Dobbins could have a big year this year because the receiving core is going to open up so much in the passing game, and this is going to elevate Lamar Jackson. A lot of people have been critical of Lamar as a passer, but have never seen him with any respectable wide receivers. Now he has Odell Beckham Jr. Now he has Zay Flowers. Now they added Nelson Aguilar. Now he still has Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, Devin Duvernay. Plenty of options to throw the ball to. Isaiah Likely. So this new offense is going to be more spread-based. I think that's going to help Lamar. I think that's going to help their offense. Defensively, they've got a strong scheme. They've got a really good secondary. And I do feel like Roquan Smith elevated this defense to the next level last year. If they can get a little bit of a pass rush, they should be at least very solid, if not really darn good. So overall as a team, I think they're going to be more dynamic than people think on offense, and I think their defense is going to be pretty darn solid. So I expect the Ravens to be a borderline AFC contender this season. At number 3, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are my number 3. There's not a lot that has to be said here. They've been fairly consistent over the last few years. And I made a video earlier this offseason saying that the Bills could be better than ever. And I believe that. They could be. Now, to play the devil's advocate, I'm a little worried about Josh Allen on the Madden cover. I didn't know about the curse, you know, because I made the video before that happened. Stephon Diggs being a drama queen, certainly something you got to deal with. And then, of course, the Haley Steinfeld and Josh Allen throughout the offseason. I mean, it's just not great vibes for winning football games. But that being said, they added depth on the offensive line. They added a first-round tight end. They have a good receiving core. Damian Harris should add some power to the backfield. The defense, you add more layers to the defensive line with Leonard Floyd. Hopefully Von Miller's all right and good to go. The only position that they downgraded at, I would say, is linebacker. Other than that, Taylor Rapp added to safety. Micah Hyde back. Corners are healthier. Tre'Davious White being the guy. The Bills are really good. The Bills could be that team that is like the post-hype sleeper in terms of contenders. Not necessarily a team that's going to make the playoffs, of course, but the team that everyone thought they would win the Super Bowl last year and they didn't, so everyone jumped off the bandwagon, and then they win the Super Bowl this year. That could be the case for the Bills. At number 2, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals are my number 2. Joe Burrow, absolute stud. Although I will say, if I have to see one more video or one more picture of this man on Instagram with that ugly ass haircut, I will have to delete my account, shove my phone so far under my couch that I will never find it, okay? I can't do it anymore. That being said, pretty good at quarterback, especially within the pocket. And I think he's going to be a dancing bear back there this year with Orlando Brown, a real life-sized bear as his left tackle. They're going to be so much better on the offensive line. I think it's going to help their running game, their passing game, give Joe Burrow more time. I like the receiving core. I love the offense overall. Zach Taylor, good football coach. Defensively, I love their secondary this year. I think it could be a unit at corner that is improved with DJ Turner, a Chidobe Awuzie coming back. I think that their safeties may go through some rough points, but I think they'll be good enough. I especially have faith in Dax Hill. Linebackers are awesome. One of the best duos in football nobody talks about. It's arguably the best linebacker duo in the league. It's up there. The defensive line is deep. It's good. You've got elite talents there. DJ Reader, stud. Trey Hendrickson, stud. The Bengals are a contender without a doubt. They have the quarterback, they have the experience, they have the playmakers, they have the defense, they have the coaching to win a Super Bowl. The number 1 team in the AFC, until proven otherwise, is the Chiefs at number 1. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, and yes, his extremely irritating wife are number 1. Let's not bring up the brother. The offensive line, still really good. I'm intrigued to see what Jawan Taylor can do in his first year with Kansas City, but I have a lot of faith in Andy Reid because he's just that dude when it comes to offensive lines. Isaiah Pacheco, I think is going to have a good year this year. Kadarius Toney has the opportunity to have a breakout year. So does Sky Moore. And Travis Kelce is still Travis Kelce. Defensively is really what I want to talk about. I think the Chiefs, if they're going to repeat or be back in that Super Bowl, I think their defense is going to have to take a step forward. I think all these young players like, Watson and McDuffie, who apparently I called Byron Murphy last video. I apologize for that. Cook and Chanel and Karlaftis and all these players, they have to get better. They have to improve. They added a first-round pick to the defensive line. Charles Omenihu was an intriguing add as well. Chris Jones is Chris Jones. The linebacking trio is really good. It might be the best linebacking trio in the league. I mean, it's there, right? Spagnuolo, really good defensive coordinator in big games. Chiefs are a really good team. I feel like a lot of this team this year will be Mahomes, Kelce, and their defense. And I think that's how they're going to win in 2023. Gronk, spike the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It's Mitch. Those are my AFC Power Rankings entering training camp. I can't wait for some football. Let's go. Peace.